Hey there, creatives. I apologize for the slight delay. We had technical difficulties connecting to the internet here in the shop, but everything seems to be functioning and working properly. So today we're taking a step back because I was a corporate trainer for 10 years. And the one thing that I learned when conducting any type of training or instructional class is that you generally try to teach your class. This is like bugging me because it's off, so hang tight. It's just like the slightest bit off. Whenever you're conducting an instructional class or tutorial, you generally try to teach the class to where the majority of the people get it. But what I notice is that there are people who are faster, they get it, they're quick learners, and so they get bored easy. And so they might disappear and then come back later in the tutorial and see what's going on. But there are also those that just need a little bit more time to process things. I don't call them the slow learners. These are people who have a very different mindset in how they go about putting things together. So rather than just full speed ahead and try to work on some other things, I'm taking this back to a very basic beginner because I've had a couple people who are in my private group that are struggling with just the basics, struggling with how to, like they might be really proficient in Grapevine, but now they're trying their hand at Deco Mesh and it's just not clicking for them. And so you can teach the same concepts over and over and over, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people get it. And so I've been doing this, next month it'll be 7 years. And so I just want to dial it back a little bit to give people the opportunity to have some basic tutorials in my channel, both on YouTube and in the main public group, so that you have these to reference back to. It's also perfect for people who are just starting out and need the basics. And so they need someone who's going to slow down with them and go over the why, go over the how, go over where's the best place to get my materials. Why am I struggling so much with this particular type of mesh? Why isn't it covering as well as yours is? So we're taking it back to what I call the basic for putting together a ruffle wreath base using Deco Mesh. So what we're going to do today is go over a couple different frame types and understand when would you use them, why would you not use them, what are the challenges between using either or, as well as Deco Mesh. Like maybe you only have accessibility to Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's mesh. You can't, you know, maybe for some reason you haven't thought about ordering through an online retailer because you thought it's too expensive. And so we're going to look at coverage between different types of Deco Mesh and why these could be frustrating. We're also going to look at how to cut your Deco Mesh to give you a better result and why in some instances you struggle. Because sometimes people send me pictures and they're like, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm spending all this money on product and on ribbon and on all this stuff, and I'm really frustrated. And so my heart goes out to you. So I just wanted to make this tutorial just for you. For those people that need the little bit of the whys and the reasons behind things. And then we're going to put it together and hopefully you'll like the end result. And if you have one of the other types, you'll understand now why it is so challenging to put that together, but also some tips to help you rise above that and still be able to make sense of that project. So before we get started, if you want to save this tutorial, and trust me, if you're a beginner just starting off on Deco Mesh wreaths, you're going to want to save this tutorial. So just hit the share button. If you are on YouTube, all you need to do is click your save button once you've signed in on your YouTube account, and you can save this as however you have it set up on your YouTube account. Also, I've had a couple people tell me, I'm not getting notifications. I've done all the things for you on Facebook. I've liked your page. I'm following your page, and I'm still not getting notified. That could be an issue either on your end with your notifications, or it could just be Facebook in general. There's only so many things that we have in our tool belt to ensure that your notifications should be coming through. My all-around best advice for you is to set alarms on your phone, knowing that I go live Tuesdays at 4 Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. So set those as alarms, and then no matter what happens in the technology world, like we just saw today, you'll make sure that you are notified so that you can come back and tune into this channel. And if it's 4 o'clock and I'm not on, keep refreshing your page, because sometimes I'm having the same issues with connecting that you are. So don't lose hope. You know, I will always come and either tell you, hey, we're experiencing technical difficulties. It's going to take a minute, or we're not able to connect. We'll pick this up again at another point. So I am going to include, wow, even my tablet is so messed up right now. I'm getting text overlapping text. So let me just go ahead and include this at the bottom. I'm going to put my website down here, and I'm trying to work on, no, not now. I don't want to enable dictation. Where's all this stuff coming from? Let me go ahead and pin that down below. Okay, come on. See, it's still not doing that. Okay, why are you not doing this? There you go. Just needed a firmer hand, I guess. So, hi Pam, hi Elizabeth, hi Veronica, hi Urbina, hi Kathy. Welcome. So if this is your first time joining me, come on in and tell me, hey, I'd love to welcome you. So I pinned my website down below. If you like these tutorials, we call them Back to Basics. I have an entire series of Back to Basics classes that walks you through everything. Choosing colors, choosing ribbons, making a bows, embellishments, all the things. And then how do you go about creating good pictures and all this stuff. So if you guys would love to join my private group, I'd love to welcome you. The link is below. You can click on there. We have monthly, yearly, and lifetime memberships. And now we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to pivot you down, and we're going to go over a couple things. So bear with me. Okay, we're taking a trip down below. And it's funny because I've been editing videos almost every day for like the last 8 months. And so I'm looking at older videos and looking at some things that I wish I've done differently. So that helps move me forward and say, you know, like I went through and I searched, I'm like, do I even have a basic tutorial out there in the public arena that is how to do a ruffle base? Because that's the basic. It's the easiest. So the first thing I want to do is, because this is a basic class, we are going to go over some types, and I'm going to kind of push this out of the way so that we're going to do a wood burning demo. We're also going to do rotary cut on our Deco Mesh and show you some of the differences. When you're using Deco Mesh, you're either going to be using something like this where it's a wire wreath form with pipe cleaners attached. The reason why I use this is it keeps my materials costs on the lower side. The minute I move up to what would be considered like a wire wreath form, this is $1.25 plus whatever it costs for the pipe cleaners. These tinsel ties, that's what this one is. Even the pencil ties roughly start between $5.99 all the way up to $9.99, depending upon what you want. Another difference you're going to notice is the height of this frame. This one is less than a ½ inch high. This one, if you guys can see right here, here's the bottom, here's the top. We have 2 inches. This is what's called an elevated work frame, which means that your Deco Mesh is going to have to work harder to cover 2 inches versus covering a 1/2 inch, which is all we have here in our elevated form. So those are the automatic challenges. And sometimes people say, well, this is what everybody else is using. This is what I'm supposed to be using, but I'm still struggling. I don't understand why. Well, number one, most of the time they're not using the same Deco Mesh as you. They're using a different way of cutting their Deco Mesh than you are. They're also probably using a different length of Deco Mesh than you are. So now that we've discussed the 2 different types of frames, we're going to go over and we're going to cover the Deco Mesh types. So there are a couple different ones. You're going to get what's called a jute poly burlap, which is basically, when I pull this out, it is a burlap mesh. So it's part polypropylene, part plastic, and then it's also got cotton and jute fibers in it. In the past, you were not able to cut this type of mesh with a wood burning tool. Some do and some don't. This frays really easy. As you can see, I'm going to show you right there on my shirt because it's a little bit darker. It frays quite a bit, but that's normal, okay? In addition to that, we have, this is another one. This is from Hobby Lobby, also called a Polypro mesh ribbon. But reality is, this is more along the lines of a fabric mesh, although it doesn't tell you that. And so for somebody going in and thinking, okay, well, I need polypropylene mesh, and this looks so pretty when it's in the package, but little do you know, when you look, you can see the measurements right through this mesh. Fairly easy, okay? Fabric mesh is nice. It's soft to work with, but it has its limitations. It's not going to hold its shape depending upon what you're trying to do with it, because it is soft. It is flexible. It's made to be just like what we would think of in a fabric type of mesh. Now, when we look at the burlap mesh, again, coverage is going to be an issue. Just trying to see this pattern through that mesh, we're going to have to work to make sure that we cover this up to where you don't see it. Okay? Another type of mesh, which I think Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's, and I'm not just picking on them, but that's where most of us go because it's local. We can walk in, we can see it, and we think that what we see on the roll is exactly what we're going to get when we pull this out, but it's not. And the sad thing is that a lot of this mesh that is sold in your local retail stores is higher priced than what some really great quality mesh would be online. Downside, ordering it online, you have to wait for it to be delivered. You might have to pay shipping. Positive on the retail side is you can walk in, you can see it, you can pick it, but you don't necessarily know what it's like until you're able to open it up and look. And from here, it looks gorgeous. We've got some iridescent threads going through there. I'm thinking this would make a really nice candy cane background. But watch what happens when we spread this out. Can you see those bands of color that I can see on this side? Can you see the bright orange? Can you see the yellow? Can you see the white? A lot of times, this is what happens. And so, even if you take a bunch of this together, and roll it over a couple times, we still don't see the same bands that we see here. It's because what you're seeing here is layers of layers upon color. So if you want this types of look, we're going to have to use a whole lot of this Deco Mesh to even get coverage on our wreath forms. And if you were going with a candy cane theme or candy corn theme, you're not going to be able to really achieve the results. And so you're going to be really frustrated and tears might come because it's not yielding the results you want. I mean, even if we doubled this up, like this is like 20-inch pieces, even if I took this and I'm just going to roll 20 inches in, we start to see it a little bit, but it looks very muted. It looks very watered down. So that's going to pose a challenge for you. My best recommendation for you is to always go with the Deco Mesh that you can afford. And most of the time, if you go to places like Deco Exchange, Trendy Tree, the Wreath Shop, Craft Outlet, Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you look for, and there's a ton of other places, it would just take me all day to list them all. You want something that is what I would call a wide foil Deco Mesh. Let me grab one. It's the only one I did not grab right off the top. Okay. And these are just all my leftover rolls. So this is a wide foil mesh. Here's the difference. You can automatically see, yes, it's still transparent, but I'm only looking at 10 inches of Deco Mesh right here, and you can see, you can tell that when I roll this up right here, we're going to get a solid red. Most of the time, this Deco Mesh for a 30-foot roll is going to run you about $5 for the roll. Okay? At Hobby Lobby, most of the time, our Deco Mesh, like just for the candy cane or the this fabric mesh, is $9.99, and you're already dealing with a less than perfect mesh. So if you can get wide foil regular Deco Mesh, and you'll be so much happier with the quality, you'll be so much happier with the coverage, and you can get it in all kinds of, like, your base colors. You can get it in the candy corn colors. You can even bump it up. I think it's like for the basic mesh is like $4.50, and then I think it's $4.95 for the wide foil. And then there's like a premium, which might take it up an extra $1 for a $5.99 roll. And then you're getting into high foils where it's, instead of having a wide foil, you're going every single roll, which is really great coverage. So let's see how well all of these work. We're going to cut 3 pieces of each, and I'm just going to do a small section on a Dollar Tree wreath to show you where your frustration will come from. So we're going to see if this jute mesh will cut with a wood burning tool. I use a wood burner that can be adjusted to a 425-degree temperature so that it gives me a smooth cut. Also, if you cut your mesh with a wood burning tool, you will love the outcome of the final quality of the product. So most of the time, I would tell my private group members, generally anything with a natural fiber in it, cotton, jute, whatever, it's not going to cut with the wood burning tool, but you can always give it a whirl and see what happens. And so we'll start here at the end, and I'm just going to go right down the column. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's not cutting. It's actually, and I'll show you when I get all the way to the end, it's actually burning my mesh. There is no cut line in here, and that's because jute and cotton fibers will not cut with the wood burning tool. Let me show you what it did. Kind of do a up close kind of thing. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I have a little singed edges all the way here along my Deco Mesh, where all it is burning. So in a mesh like this, you have to cut it with a rotary cutter. Disadvantage, you're going to deal with frays. There's not going to be anything that you can do. But let me set this over here. And we'll rotary cut this instead. Okay, so let's put a brand new fresh cut on there. And then you would normally cut this to 10-inch pieces. So we're going to do 3 at 10 inches. There's 1, There's 2. We need to be down here. And 3. Okay, we have 3 perfect, good, precise pieces. Not using a wood burning tool, this is going to fray. Let's see what the coverage is. Here's our Dollar Tree wreath form. We're just going to do this section right here, and we're going to ruffle. Okay, so we're just going to go straight up the center, just like this. It usually forms in about 1/2 inch pleats. Okay, so we're going to put 1 here. What the middle does on the frame is it provides additional coverage to the outside 2 pieces. And normally I do these in 18-inch pieces. So let's be fair. Let's cut them in 18-inch pieces. Or sorry, 20-inch pieces. Because I want to be fair in this assessment. So 1. Go all the way to the end. 2. I don't know why I was doing 10-inch pieces. 3. Okay. So, same thing. We'll go back to the beginning. We'll take this one out. Kind of toss that one in the trash. Move those out of the way. So the first thing when you're doing a ruffle is going to be find your middle. Just imagine a line straight up the center. You're always going to go against the curl. So you're going to lay this out so it goes against the way that it wants to roll. I usually put an item at the end. We're going to start at the bottom and we're just going to gather in small, even little pleats. Just like that. Okay? This is why it's called a scrunch. It's also called a bow tie because it kind of looks like a little bow tie. But it's known in the crafting world as a ruffle technique. It's super easy because anyone can scrunch. We're doing finished edges to the inside. So we're always going to lay the finished edge in the center. We're going to give it a couple twists. Okay. And then you'll notice on the Dollar Tree frame, the way that I have it set up is there's 1 in the center and 2 to the outside. The first one here goes around the 2 inside most rings, and then the 2 on the outside are spaced just kind of halfway in between this and the weld. Just kind of find a halfway point, or sometimes what I'll say is just kind of go about 3 inches between each of your pipe cleaners on the outside so that they will have enough space. Okay, from here, we're going to do it again, just so you can see coverage-wise how well things work. So I'm going to take this one, going to go right over here to the outside. Lay this right down on top. Same thing, still finished edges on the inside and never changed the direction. 2 twists, and then just kind of fan that out. So it's kind of like a doily sitting on top of your middle piece. Okay. Same thing, we're going to add our 3rd piece so you can get an idea of, hey, this is coverage for that jute mesh cut to 20-inch pieces. Using 18 pipe cleaners on here, you will only need 1 roll of 30-foot Deco Mesh to complete an entire 14-inch Dollar Tree frame. Okay, super nice coverage here. If I didn't have the black pipe cleaner on there, you generally cannot see that frame through the bottom because we have good, nice overlapping coverage. Now let's look at what happens when I try to take the same piece and put that on a work frame. So we've got that 2 inch in elevation to try to accomplish. So I'm going to take these ones right here. Let's push these all the way on the outside. We're going to do this here. I'm going to go ahead and remove these. we'll start with our middle. So right up here, go ahead and lay that in. Okay, there's that one. And then we've got to put our 2 outside pieces in. So I'm just going to grab this since we've already gathered it, just to show you. Place that right inside. Nice twist there. Try to pull that one down and untwist this and place this one here. Okay, so this is the difference in those elevation mesh. You can see that this one, I have a lot more area to try to cover, and it's going more vertical, so it's going more high than it is going more flat. Okay, so if you have a design that has a sign that's going to be bigger than, like, say, a 12-inch sign, like maybe it's a 16-inch, something like that. This on the inside is 14 inches. This on the inside is 10 inches. It's going to be up to you as far as preference goes. But this, if you have really thin Deco Mesh, as you'll see when we get to the candy corn, we're going to be challenged to try to accomplish that. Okay, so let's do this really quick. Hold on a sec. Let's just do these so we can do a side-by-side comparison really quick. Just so that we can have one on an elevated frame and then one on a regular Dollar Tree form. And then you guys can decide which one would you rather work with. So remember, when we're doing it here on the Dollar Tree form, when you're looking at your materials cost, so far we're at $1. And I think the jute mesh runs a little bit more. I want to say it's almost 7 something a roll. It might be a little bit more. So I'm just going to show you the coverage difference between the two so that you can see a good side-by-side. And then we'll do that on the other Deco Mesh that I have. So our whole goal is why, what are the challenges, what are the obstacles kind of thing. Let's get this piece right in here. So, okay, so this one, if you think about it, low and flat, but full. Good coverage, low and flat. It's going to give you a pretty flat surface. So if you want to put a bow, a sign, some embellishments, maybe double bows, maybe triple bows, you're probably going to want to go with something. This is why ruffle method is necessary. If we go with this one, we're automatically going to go much higher. So if you can see, this one right now is sitting, like I said, at about 3 inches. This one down here is probably about 1.5 inches. So we've got quite a huge variance. Now watch happens when you start getting into different types of mesh. Okay, let's pull out the fabric mesh. This is my favorite just because it's soft. So we're going to do the same thing. I am going to see, here's the thing with fabric mesh too. Let's see, can we burn it with a wood burning tool? Let's try that. Let's try to put a fresh cut on that. There we go. And we're back to the jute. We've got that burning edge happening. It'll cut through certain sections in between those, but we're stuck here. We have to go rotary cutter. So that means that we're going to be dealing with frays while we're working with our mesh. Just like this one is already starting to come out. but let's go ahead and put a fresh cut on that. Get rid of that end. And then we're going to go, let's put 3. Oops. Let's get that over there. We're going to do, hopefully we'll have enough on this skinny little roll to do, there's 3 for our Dollar Tree frame. There's 20. 20. And 20. So, let's see what these look like on those forms. Okay, Dollar Tree form. We're going to go way over here. And we're going to do the same technique. Rolling it against itself. Doing the same little pleats. Pulling this together. Going to place the middle one in first. Just because it's easier to show you guys. Here's our middle. Okay. And you can fan that out all the way. I'm going to take these and tuck those under. Let's take this one all the way over here. I'm going right up the middle between the beige and the red where they meet. Okay. Place this one right over the top. I love fabric mesh, in all honesty. It's just super soft to work with, but you're going to have to deal with those frays. And then over here, I'm trying to find my other pipe cleaner. Going right up the middle here, just pulling it towards me in little increments of about a ½ inch each. Still finished edge to the inside and the outside here. Again, good fluffies. Okay, I'm going to take my pipe cleaner. I'm going to move this one up so you can see in between. Good coverage. No, we can't see the frame. Okay, so it's a really good coverage on that mesh. Let's look at what happens when we put that over here. I'm trying to do it here. I'm trying to do it here, here, and here. I think that'll work so that we have some gap between them. Okay, again, right up the middle. I always just use a weighted object like a pair of scissors or my pliers just to keep that from rolling up, especially if you're getting close to the inside of your roll where it's really, really tight. And see, you're going to get a lot of frays because none of these have a sealed edge. There's no heat binding on that edge. Okay, so now we're going to go down here. Pull my tinsel tie up. There's that. And we'll put the last one in. This one's actually shedding quite a bit, which means that you're going to see that everywhere. Like we see it right here. We have those frays happening. That is a downside to the fabric mesh that we cannot wood burn. One complete twist. Making sure we've got, I'm going to move these out of the way so you can truly see coverage. Whoop. And here's our elevated frame. Look, there's the bottom on an elevated frame. So we have a little bit of light through, but that fabric mesh is still doing a really good job with coverage. Now let's look at what most of us are probably picking up. this, and you can see all the stuff fraying. So this is generally what we'll get when we're working with this on our kitchen counter or wherever we're assembling our wreaths. That's just normal. Okay, let's get our little candy corn. So we're going to stretch this all the way out. Let's get rid of all my pipe cleaners. So the first thing we want to do whenever you're cutting your Deco Mesh with a wood burning tool is you want to put a fresh cut on it. Especially if you open it, you'll be able to tell we can never get, it's never going to be perfect on that roll. So we want to cut all the frays off. And this is really hard to see, but what you're going to do is you're going to start in one column and you're going to follow that column all the way down no matter what it does. And so what that does is, like, because we cannot, because this is like, it does whatever it wants, we can't get it to like be perfectly straight all the way through. So we pick a row and then we stay with that row, and what that does is when we go to stretch it out, now we have a clean cut. But we're going with 20-inch pieces, so let's be fair. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start this right on my 20-inch line, and I'm going to follow that through all the way down. There's one piece. Do the same over here. I'm going to stretch it out. Pick my column. Follow my column all the way down. There's my second piece. What do you guys think coverage is going to be on this particular type of mesh? Any guesses before we put it in? Okay, there's that, and we're going to do this for the Dollar Tree frame as well. So let's see if we can get another 3 pieces out of this one. Got that. Really disappointed that the mesh does not look like that, and I have had that disappointment so many times. I'm like, ugh. Even when I find a really pretty blue or really pretty yellow, and then I stretch it out, and I'm like, I can barely even tell that there's color on there. And here's the last one. Okay, so far cry from this, any of those pieces. I'm going to go ahead and flip this back over here so it's out of our way. It's always good to move the wood burning tool so that you don't get burned. I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm just going to put a big separation between the 3 different types of mesh we have on here. A little bit more so that you can really see that candy corn color. This was like not good coverage. Yeah, I don't have an awful lot of hope for this. I would be crying if I pulled this out. I'd be like, oh my god, am I going to have to go get like 20 rolls of Deco Mesh to get good coverage? I don't know, but you're not going to be happy with this. And this is sadly what I get a lot of people who will send me the pictures and they're like, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to get this, but this is all I have. This is what I'm working with. This is what I'm working with. Why won't it look like that? And it's because, well, that mesh is the way that mesh is. So let's get this one. This is even hard to ruffle because it doesn't have an awful lot of strength to it. Everything is thin. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try to squeeze this one in. We're trying to get that candy corn kind of feel out of that. Okay, let's see if we can kind of double over, maybe. Move these out of the way. I don't know, all. What do you think? Elizabeth, are you right? Okay, we're pulling. Here's our last piece. We're going to go ahead and put that on there nice and tight. We're going to make sure that we expand it and really fluff it all up. We'll move these out to the side so we can really see if we can even get some of that center to kind of spread out. I don't know, guys. What do you think? That's what we get. So this is what's coming out. This is what we were hoping for. Right, Jane. She says, for all I see, it's pale yellow. Exactly. Hard to believe that it was supposed to be like this, right? Okay, if we can see the Dollar Tree frame, what do you think is going to happen when I put this on the work frame? So I'm going to go here, and here, and here. I'll move all these ones over. So, delightful candy corn. And I have been here. And she says, I have my phone up close. Yeah, it is. I mean, even when I'm gathering it, I don't really see that candy corn bands even in here. But we'll try. We'll be fair. Okay, there's the first one. Elizabeth says, I don't think the customer will like it. Well, remember, the good thing is the customers are going to be purchasing off of a photo anyway. So they would see what our Deco Mesh looks like. We'd really have to put a ton of ribbon on that to even, you know, hide. I'm going to just move these up. See if we can try to get this one in. Okay, so we're squeezing that one in. Kind of trying to see if I can camouflage to the very best of my ability. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with Janie, who said all I see is pale yellow, and Elizabeth, who said not very good coverage. And it's not to say that Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's doesn't sell good quality mesh. And we're going to move that all the way down. There's our second piece. And this is what I'm saying is you can get lots of patterns and colors with the wide foil mesh, and it costs less than what you would pay for at Hobby Lobby. The downside is you have to wait for it because it has to be shipped to you. A lot of you, though, have that advantage of having a place fairly close to you that will allow you to go in and purchase this directly. Like when I was in Southern California, Shinoda sold the wide foil mesh, so I could go in and physically look at it and see if it was thin or not. Okay, we need one more piece for our experiment. And then we're going to dissect the mesh, the ruffle technique. So there we go. We have those pieces intact. I can now unplug this because we're all done with that tool. Okay, so let's see it on our Dollar Tree form. So we have fabric. This is just regular iridescent or metallic. It would be like your Hobby Lobby, Joann's, or Michael's mesh. And also watch on Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's now, they have changed their rolls from being 30-foot rolls. Sometimes they're doing 18-foot or 22 feet. And that's not enough for you to finish what you need. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one over here. You're going to automatically notice that when you work with this mesh, it's going to feel like you just elevated yourself to a high-end product because it is thick. it's going to hold its shape, and it's going to automatically give you great coverage. So I'm going to place this one right on the inside so we can do our comparison. I still have to come in and add our two outsides. But as you can see, when we were rolling this out, because like these ones are banded every row, these are together, and then they also have the chocolate jute strands in the center, but yet this one was able to be cut with a wood burning tool. So that's why I say, try it. Sometimes you might luck out. Okay, there's that one. So I'm going to take that to the center. We're going to move this one and move that one over there. And again, little increment pieces. And we're going to squeeze that one in. It is right here. Okay. Fluff, fluff, fluff. Make sure all of our mesh, everything is always finished edges towards the inside. And so this is what we have coverage wise on that wide foil mesh. Doing the exact same. Here's the jute. Here's the fabric. And here's that low end quality mesh. So this will drive you crazy and make you think you can't be a good wreath maker. But it's not you, it's the product. Okay, working on our elevated form. Right, Elizabeth, this is my favorite mesh for this year. This, you guys have seen me use it a couple times on my wreaths. So we're going to go top first, because the technique has been the same all the way through. Okay, that almost covers the frame just by itself, but not quite. I can kind of still see it, and that's only one piece. I still have to add the other three, or the other two, sorry. So if you're looking to make an overly full wreath, meaning like you want this to be thick, like a lot of people don't like the thickness of the elevated form because it has such, like I said, we're working with a 2-inch elevation plus whatever we're going to put on it with mesh, ribbon, bow, sign. This is where we can easily exceed 6 inches or more on that form. Okay, let's put this one in. Same thing. So I just wanted you guys to see with your own eyes, rather than me telling you, you need to get different mesh. And so the question I'm often asked is, what do I do with this mesh? Okay, well, let's look at the coverage here. Here's our wide foil. We completely covered that elevation change. Here is our low quality mesh, which we can see the frame. Here's our fabric mesh. And then here's our jute mesh. You can see that the jute still feels like it's not quite there all the way. Even if I pull these out of the way so you can actually see, you still see like there's a little bit of transparency in between there. So you can definitely see why the wide foil works to your advantage, and it is so much less than buying all the stuff in the retail store. Okay? Belinda says, like the wide foil mesh for the best coverage. Okay. So now what do we do, right? Because that's the dilemma. I bought all this mesh from Hobby Lobby. Well, if you've unopened it, take it all back and get your money back. Because it is not what you would need in order to do your very best work. If you have it opened, you could use it for filler. You can kind of use like little curls. Like if you had wide foil mesh that was orange, white, and yellow, you could take some of this stuff and roll it really tight in like little 10-inch curls and maybe add it as accent mesh. But you can kind of piece it together with existing mesh and try to use this up. So that's why I wanted to do this tutorial, so you could see the difference. Now let's go over technique in doing the ruffle method. So Dollar Tree form, 18 pipe cleaners, 6 on the inside, 12 on the outside. There are 6 sections, so there's one that wires together the 2 inside, and then we wire together the 2 outside. So there's 3 pipe cleaners each section. That's what comprises the 6 on the inside, 12 to the outside. It doesn't matter if you pick and do all the inside ones first or do all the outside ones first. It doesn't matter if you do what I call the next one, which is just start here, and whatever pipe cleaner you hit next is the one you do. Whatever works for you, whatever feels most comfortable for you. When I first started, I did all the inside and then I did all the outside. It just made sense to me because most of the time I was going to cut my 6 inside ones off. And that'll be a tip for another day. When should you cut? You know, how do you know what to embellish it with, or should you do a bow? We're going to cover all of that. Not today. We're just going to cover, hey, how can I put in a really good ruffle base? So this is what we're using. We're using that same brown Deco Mesh. Why? Because we are going to come back this week and we are going to finish this wreath up. Today is just creating the base and discussing the pros and cons of different types of mesh. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in on Thursday and we're going to create the bow and we're going to look at embellishments. But this is the design that I came up with for this one. So that's what we're working on. The sign is from Pam's. Personalize It by Pam's on Etsy. Again, for recap, we're always curling against the way that it wants to naturally roll. This one's kind of nice because it kind of already has that gold band up the front. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to pull it towards me so that I can control the amount of Deco Mesh that I am gathering in this section. Once again, we're doing finished edge to the inside first. And in this section, let's do the inside first and then the 2 outside, kind of like what we were doing there. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a couple extra twists and I'm going to move my pipe cleaner out of the way by pushing it towards the center. Now I'm going to do the outside on the left and then we're going to do the outside on the right for that one in its section. Again, gathering in 1/2-inch increments, finished edge. This is going to lay right, I'm going to move these ones off to the side so that you don't get confused. We're putting right here on our right side, right on top of that existing piece. All this is a filler for the 2. Nice complete twist. I like to take my ends and just fold those under just on the very edges so that they are protected against rubbing those uncut edges together and causing it to fray. Here we're going to take the other one. This is going to go right in here. This is our other outside piece. Pulling it towards you. It just gives you more control this way. And I just keep moving my scissors up until I grab the last piece. Again, this is getting placed right on top. Okay, one complete twist, and then I'm going to open up my foil ends just like this. So this is how one section looks, and as you can see, it's already intruded on the, I don't know, a third on the each section preceding it, so it's already over this one and over that, so that's why it's really good coverage. Kathy, these are all cut to 20-inch pieces. So the reason why I do 20 inches on an 18 pipe cleaner or tinsel ties is one 30-foot roll will give you 18 20-inch pieces with no leftovers. So that is economical for us as crafters so that we have no leftovers. Okay, now I'm going to show you what happens when we do the next one, right? So as we're moving into this next section, we're intruding upon this other pipe cleaner. I'm just going to push this one away so we're not focusing on that. There is nothing in between this center section. Like this works great for these guys. This is great for these guys, but there's nothing here. So in order to create that coverage, we're going to take the outside edge of that piece preceding it. We're going to take the end and go right above and right below our next piece, so that when we come in with our next piece, it's going to lay right on top of that other piece. Because remember, it's already eating into the real estate by about a third anyway. So right on top, grab your pipe cleaners, one good twist, and then we're just going to fan out the edge. Here's the piece preceding. Here's the piece right next to it. I'm just going to move those because now this piece has already eaten up our center pipe cleaner and almost right here. So we need to get our center in, which is why when you're a beginner, it's sometimes easier just to start all the inside pieces and then do all the outside pieces. But I'll finish this one up so that you can see what to do if you do what I call the next one, which is just whatever pipe cleaner you come to next, you stuff a piece of mesh in it. You're going to go ahead and do the same thing, couple twists. And then because this is a center, we need to get this below the piece preceding it. Because remember, that's a filler. Okay, and then now we've got to squeeze in here and get the last one done for our center, or for that next section. And see, we're almost halfway through and we've only done 2 sections of a Dollar Tree wreath frame, which is why having good quality mesh that does not break your budget will yield you the results that you're wanting as a Deco Mesh wreath maker. Okay, so there's that. So those are the 2 sections. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up just doing the middles. So we're just going to do middle, 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 and then we're going to come back and do all the outsides. Same technique, just for a beginner. It's easier because then you're just focusing on one area of the frame at a time. I think it's easier for you doing it that way. So here I'm just doing middles, placing that right to the inside, and I'm twisting those in there fairly tight. And I want to make sure that because these are outside pieces, they are extended all the way. I'm going to take all the outsides and just move those out of my way. So remember, we're just doing the middle, pulling it towards us, 1/2 inch increments, laying this right on the inside. So exactly where I have gathered it is exactly where it's going inside the pipe cleaner. Go ahead and fluff that out. Okay, and I'm going to take these and lean them forward so that when we come in and lay our outside pieces, they don't get stuck going in here. I also find that if you use the pieces of Deco Mesh that are a little tighter on your roll on the center, they just lay better because they're resisting going against that curl. They'll be a little harder for you to roll, but you can do it. Just maintain control of your mesh, and it's going to wobble back and forth. That's okay. Keep your mind focused on where you're gathering. Lay that back down right on the inside. And then fluff it out. This is where people go, oh, you're making a pancake. No, it just looks like that. Because that's the way a pancake starts, is you're just using the 6 inside, and then you use just 6 on the outside and create like really large doilies. But even that's a story for another day. Imagine using that really thin mesh to try to make a pancake wreath out of that. No. Okay, so here we go. So I'm working with that piece on the outside. So I need to get this to go under my outside. So again, I've laid the 6 inside ones, or we've done all 6 inside. We've done 4 sections where it's just the inside, and then we've done 2 sections where we have added the outside pieces. So that's what we're going to do now. Now you need to go find in each section the 2 for each section. And I usually just take the middle and move my pipe cleaners to the top, so I know I'm coming right in here, starting with the left and then the right. You're welcome. Okay. So again, right on top, couple twists, and then go ahead and fluff your outside piece, turning your edges under. And then now, just to get your pipe cleaner out of the way, move it to the left, so that now all we're focusing on is we're going to come in here with our next piece of mesh. This is right where it's going. Trying. Right on the inside. You can see I just dropped that right inside. 2 twists. Fan those pieces out. Okay, just like that. Move my pipe cleaner to the left, because here we are, center section. I need to find the 2 outside. So there's 1. Here's the other. Ready for 2 more pieces. So do you guys have any questions at all about Deco Mesh, ruffle bases, why you would use them? Like I said, if the ruffle base for me is if I know in the plaiting stages of my design, I'm going to add a bow, I'm going to add some embellishments, I'm going to add a sign. Even on this one, I don't have to add a bow. Just having this coverage and knowing that I'm going to come in and add ribbons to the outside and a really nice bow for that sign, we're going to have really good coverage all the way through. So we will finish this design up on Thursday, where we will discuss ribbons, you know, adding ribbons to your wreath. Should we add a bow? Should we not add a bow? And then determining sign placement on a wreath. I just want you guys to feel really comfortable with, I built this wreath base. I made this base. So, in using good quality Deco Mesh will make all the difference in the world in your design. I would never also use poly burlap to create a ruffle base because it is too rubbery, it is too thick, and even if you can cut it with the wood burning tool, it is still going to fray. Nancy Lee said, is there a benefit to using the wire forms over the unique and the creek form? You're brand new at this. Using the wire form, what are some of the advantages? The ties are already on there. You don't need to worry about finding coordinating pipe cleaners, laying out where should I put my pipe cleaners? Where should I position this for signs? Work forms create a much thicker wreath. They will never be smaller than 24 to 26 inches, depending upon your method. It's just going to yield a really thick, full wreath. Let's see. And even people who will look at this and go, that's a work frame wreath, right? And I'm like, no, that's just a Dollar Tree frame. They're like, I can't believe that you got that much on a Dollar Tree form. This is keeping, remember at the very beginning, I don't know if you saw it, Nancy Lee, we did, what is that Deco Mesh going to do on a Dollar Tree form? We only have a 1/2 inch elevation that we have to worry about, and then everything else can be consolidating the colors and good coverage, whereas the work frame wreath on the elevated frames, you already have a 2-inch gap you really have to work to cover, in addition to covering the frame. So let's see, when would Kat ever use a work frame? In all honesty, I prefer the wire wreath frames and allowing me to use my own pipe cleaners, or even if you buy tinsel tie, and I'll show you that here in a second. You can actually buy the tinsel ties and you can put them on, you know, because some people say, well, that looks really cheap. You have pipe cleaners. You can go buy tinsel tie. Again, my whole thing is I'm trying to create a really good quality wreath without like overcharging the customer. Difference between this versus the work frame. This, the work frame, I'm going to have to add an extra $5 to $6 to, because that's the difference in the cost of the frame. Like I said, it's convenience because it's already added. The tinsel ties, pencil ties are, they don't come with pipe cleaners ever, but it's just one less step that you have to do. You just cut your mesh and put them in. Okay, but look, that is a great wreath base. From Deco Mesh end to Deco Mesh end, we're at 25 inches in diameter. We are probably, let's see if I can find my ruler. We are at a 4.5 inch base just on this one. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside. When we look at our elevated frame here with this one, I am already at 6 inches and I haven't even added my bow yet. So This, if I know that I have to keep a wreath within a 6-inch box to keep shipping costs down, I'm gonna go like, here's this one. Try to see if you can see the difference. This one is already sitting up much higher than this one. This one just makes me work a little, the work frame makes me work a little bit harder to make sure I got good coverage, because I have a 2-inch elevation I have to work to cover, as well as the 14-inch hole in the center versus a 10-inch hole in the center of this one, which you can see I've got really good coverage here. So when we come in to add our sign Thursday, everything's already there. Got contrasting great colors on the outside. Pulling from our sign, we have the browns, we have the golds, and we have the oranges. So is there anything else that I can answer for you? Unique in the Creek forms. Okay, benefit over using Unique in the Creek frame versus a work frame. The ones with the pencil ties. Oh, and that was the other thing I was going to show you guys. Is you can buy pencil rope or tinsel rope in whatever colors you want. And I could basically take these and put these on a wire wreath form, and you would never be able to know that this was a Dollar Tree frame versus this. Because some people just make the association with the tinsel, which is the thicker, furrier one, or the pencil ties. That is a step above. They're using higher grade quality. I don't really see it as that, because it all depends on you as the designer. What are you going to do with your design? What direction are you going? How do you want to, how do you want to make that fit? I know that when I add a sign, my embellishments, my ribbons, my bow, I am not going to exceed more than 6 inches, just based on experience. And that's fine for me, because I need to get this to fit in a box no larger than 24 inches by 24 inches by 6 inches high. That's where I cap it, because outside of that, it goes from between a $30 to $40 shipping charge to a $60 and up shipping charge, just to go up one more size. Like if you went 26, 26, 6, or a 24, 24, 8, now all of a sudden you hit the elevated shipping margin. And so now it's automatically going to cost you more because you went bigger on your box. Not weight, it's based on size, which sucks for us as wreath makers. Any other questions you guys have? Okay, well, I hope you guys will come back and join me on Thursday. We're going to finish this up. So when you get to join us Thursday, let's do it at the same time. Oh, let's go Thursday. Let's do it Thursday at 4 Pacific, Thursday at 6 Central, and Thursday at 7 Eastern. And we'll finish up this design. I'll be referring back and linking this tutorial in that tutorial, because when you guys join me, you'll be like, hey, you already did the base. And I'll be like, yeah, that was in Tuesday's tutorial. I have to go back and watch that for the base. But I wanted to give you guys a really good, thorough, informative tutorial that discusses Deco Mesh ruffle bases, the difference between a Dollar Tree form versus an elevated form, and then how do you make that material work for you on either, the pros and cons of every single type of Deco Mesh, pros and cons of using wood burning versus rotary cutter. I think we covered all of that in this tutorial. So you are so welcome. Nancy says, thank you so much for answering my question. Belinda said, thanks for explaining the difference between the mesh. Absolutely. And if you love more tutorials like this, you can come join my private group while open enrollment is still open. So that's going to be at the website pinned below, KatsCreationsNMore.com. Come join us. We're going to have an amazing time for the holidays. You won't want to miss it. And I'll talk to you guys then. Lee answered let me answer your question. It says, where did I get the sign from? It is from Pam at Personalize It by Pam on Etsy. All right, everyone. I'll see you on Thursday. Don't forget, we're going late. So don't come visit me at 11. We're going at 4. Talk to you then. Bye for now.